Hey traders, this is Christian from Hertz, Tribeca Trade Group with your end of day recap for Thursday. And we started the day with a decent amount of volatility. Overnight markets were all down across well, not all down, but the majority of them were down across the board. We kind of came in to where NASDAQ was down. NASDAQ futures were down almost 1% when we kind of walked in the door this morning. S&P was down about, I think, around 60 basis points. And we basically crawled back all day long. What we were watching in the Tribeca trade room today was just the previous lows, and they got really close. You could see Nasdaq. You could see. So that's like what, two or three hammer. I guess two hammer bars this week, where the I don't want to say the bears because I don't like that term, but there's definitely some selling pressure this morning. We got down to the lows. If I kind of zoom out, or if you look at the hour bar, might be a little bit better. You could see that we got back to this was Friday's low in Nasdaq or in the Qs. This was Monday's low, so we kind of got back there. We violated it for about 5 or 10 minutes. And then we came right back. So you could see the hourly bar. So it's basically not much to really report on since the beginning of the week. We've handled a couple bouts of volatility, and we've kind of hung in there before. And that's all you could really talk about. And I keep telling traders in the room that, hey, this is a week where you've got a lot going on. So it's not just much. It's not so much a permanent rotation. I think you keep hearing that word, the R word, the rotation. You keep hearing that the Bears might be in control. I really don't buy into a lot of that. I think you have some major events that are a lot of stock to trade. You have options. You have quadruple witching, which is tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday, which means futures expire on the open. There's going to be a great deal of notional to trade right on the open tomorrow. You've got a monthly option expiration. You've got single stock futures as well, which there's generally not that much volatility with that. But there's also a major S&P and NASDAQ quarterly index rebalances. All the indices, I know I've been talking about this all week, but all of the indices that are S&P related, they all get rebalanced, right? And all of them market cap weighted. Tech has to be sold. Why does tech have to be sold? Because it has run up so much, and it's all of the S&P indices, they're market cap weighted. So if all of the strong perform or all of the names that have outperformed over the quarter, they naturally have to get sold. So I really think the majority of what's going on this week is you see a lot of pressure in the names that have been winners, semi names, the a lot of the tech names, the FANG stocks, these are all names that have outperformed. This is a mechanical trade going on, and it's not getting very much publicity. But this is what happens. I think a lot of people just don't understand the mechanics behind it. But I've said to traders all week long, hey, there's no problem, buying the dip. Just be careful of trading weeklies. There's no reason, I think, to trade weeklies this week because there's just bigger trades than normal that's going on in the market. I mean, certainly you could see this volatility, you could see the volume this week. So a lot of that is attributable to that. That's the cause. And then then it's an algorithm trade as well. Once people see a move, these names being sold off, then you get all the high frequency trades that are going on as well, pushing these things to an extreme, knowing that there's a big trade going on and it's getting pushed. So big volume this week. What do we do in the trading room today? We kind of bought some things on the dip. You go to we'll look at a couple different names, but let's take Amazon, which got another price increase. Would you rather buy Amazon going all the way up here and getting more and more overbought, or would you rather buy it on a dip into some support? My opinion is I'd rather buy it into support. We saw a big trade, and we kind of let flow be our guide. The first half hour, 45 minutes of the day was really slow. There was actually a little bit of put buyers, so there's some shorts trying to push to the short side. That didn't work out very well. So what I saw was a lot of JD calls being purchased, and a lot of these tech charts, they all kind of look the same. They all got sold this week. There's really no discrimination going on. So JD.com, just like Amazon, down to the 50-day moving average, and buyers stepped in. We had one buyer that stepped in. This was right around 10 o'clock this morning. They purchased. Sorry, these are the SEP 40s. Yeah, here, this is what I want to see. The SEP 40s this morning were purchased for $1.40, a block of 4,600. Then they were purchased, and I actually did a video on this because I actually put this trade on. Then there was later SEP 40 calls that were purchased for $1.70. So they increased the price. So they went after this. Then there was also a block of the SEP 42s. So a lot of calls that went up in JD.com. So I went into this trade. I went long. Again, I have a separate video just talking about how I structure this trade a little bit. That's different on the tape, but it's kind of representative of what we've seen so far. So a lot of things kind of came back from the lows. We did that. We bought on the lows and a few different things in the trading room today because again, I'm not buying weekly stuff. I'm buying. I think this stuff makes perfect sense to buy on the dip, right? I don't want to buy on the highs. I don't want to buy up here. I want to buy in a dip, and I've got to find support against it too. It's just difficult for people to do it. People always said that they want, oh, if I could only get a dip to buy, you got one. What are you going to do? So, it is tough when there's sellers presence. But again, going back to my initial comments about tomorrow, the S&P rebalance will be over with. So maybe there's a little bit more volatility tomorrow. I would watch for the volatility around the open. I would watch for it towards the end of the day as well. What outperformed? One of the things I've been talking about different sectors kind of taking a lead almost every other day. Take a look at the industrials today. Really, really strong today. We caught a nice winner in the room today with Caterpillar, but a 52-week high. So it's almost comical at this point. Yesterday it was the home building group. 2 days ago it was XLB, the materials group. And today it's industrial. So I just don't know how you could really be too negative on this market other than for like a day trade because there's a different group, there's a different sector that is making a new 52-week high. I was joking around about this yesterday. Look at the volume confirming the move up here in industrials. So the trade that we caught today was a real sharp, aggressive day, aggressive calls that were swept, the July 110 calls. I actually just played this for a day trade. I know that Caterpillar is in a conference, has a conference tomorrow. So real nice move from lows to highs today in Caterpillar. I put this trade on, I think, for 79 cents. I paid a little bit more than they did. And I hit targets as high as $1.05. So, you get a 30% profit in one day, in a couple hours. That's wonderful. So that trade I am out of. I used that as a day trade. Maybe watch that name again tomorrow. But there's a couple other names that performed really well today. I mean, look at Boeing today as well. So it was a bunch of different names in the industrial sector. So if I go to XLI, you could see, for example, the best performers of the day. CHRW, which actually also saw some call buying. PCAR was upgraded this morning. That also saw call buying as well today. So a couple of these names that outperformed. You have the momentum call buyers come in and pick some spots in there. A couple other names that we saw option activity in. I mentioned Amazon earlier because we did see some really short dated stuff, but somebody was buying on the dip in Amazon today. U.S. Steel and AK Steel for 2 days in a row now. We've been seeing a lot of call buying. Could be somebody speculating on some type of Trump infrastructure plan. Who knows? That's my guess. But two straight days of call buying in a couple steel names, U.S. steel names, AKS and ex-U.S. Steel. Besides that, we saw a couple sharp, plays where somebody's trying, was basically calling the lows and a couple things. A couple of the optical names, AAOI, Oclaro as well. You could see there was some YPF, switching gears, there were some YPF calls. A couple chatter names. These guys always manage to buy these calls right before the something is announced. So we actually called out today HOG before it actually caught this when HOG was in here. Hog, which ended up 2.9%. And then right before the close, we saw an ILG, really sharp, aggressive call buyer. This is another hotel name that's, this whole group has been very, very strong. I actually set up an index to kind of chart this because there isn't a lodging or a hotel ETF out there. So I made one. I made an index. I put this together a couple weeks ago just because you could see the strength. So that's another group that has just been breaking out. And it's a lot of travel and leisure names. I've been long NCLH. I don't know what that is there at the end. That red bar. But in any event, I'm 90% out of this trade. I took targets in this one. I think I added this trade in here in NLCH. But this whole group has just been very, very strong. So what else? What else was on the list? Lowe's. I'm not exactly sure what they did here in Lowe's. Two different call spreads in 2 different months. However, I put this trade on because I think it's time after earnings that this name is starting to perk up a little bit. You could see all these calls being purchased and swept in Lowe's. It was like 10,000 a piece for the SEP 87 and 90s. Difficult to tell what they did here because these all went up on the ask side, but they also did this in August as well, the August 82 and 85s. What I did was just very simply just bought an August 82 and a half 85 call spread. I thought it was pretty good risk reward. I got into that trade for around 73 cents with trying to make 250 on that trade with that type of call spread. Again, I'd rather play something like this and a name that had bad earnings where I'm really defining and I'm not going to lose too much on the trade. Most I could lose is 73 cents if this thing happens to get into value and pushes up to 85. So I don't think that's a huge ask. I'm still in Home Depot, which I'm almost out of that trade. I'm just hanging on to the last piece of it. Nice recovery for that name. It's got a little bit of resistance. I'm going to give this one more day to see if it can get above resistance here. What else? On the put side, we saw there was some trades earlier. Nike, a couple trades in Schwab and Ameritrade as well that went up right around the same time. I don't know why they were looking to buy puts at the same time, but so that's it. I think I kind of went over a number of issues this week that's going on that people are not talking about. So, but nevertheless, regardless of this week's events, I think there's a great chance to kind of buy some things on the dip, as long as you have a little bit of a longer time frame, which is what I have been doing. So, thanks very much for watching today's video, and have a great night. See you bright and early Friday morning.